If you're sitting in a $2 million townhouse in San Jose right now, looking at a postage stamp backyard and a 45-minute commute that somehow takes 90, I want you to watch this whole video, because today I'm walking you through a home that costs almost exactly the same money. And I think it's going to reframe how you think about what your dollar is actually worth. This is 2990 Ironwood Lane in Lincoln, California. It's listed at $1,999,988. For that price, you get 5 bedrooms, 4 full bathrooms, just over 4,100 square feet of single-story living, and 5 full acres of usable Placer County land. It's listed by Brian Zufelt with Realty One Group Complete, and I am featuring it because it is one of the clearest examples I've seen lately of what relocation buyers are really buying when they move up here. I'm Jason Flory with Turn the Key Real Estate, and my job in this video is not to sell you the house. My job is to be the expert in the passenger seat and tell you what I would tell my own clients about a property like this. So let me set the table before we walk through this door, because location is the whole story with this one. Lincoln sits in the northern part of Placer County, north of Roseville and Rockland, the eastern edge of Lincoln, where this property is, where the tract homes stop and the country begins. You're on a private dead-end road. The listing calls it secluded, and that is not marketing fluff. The directions literally run you to the end of the street and into the property. That matters because the number one thing Bay Area transplants tell me they are chasing is space and quiet. And you cannot manufacture 5 private acres at the end of a no traffic lane. You either have it or you don't. Now let's talk about the approach, because first impressions set the tone for the whole walk. You come up to a single-story home framed by mature oaks with a long paved driveway and a real sense of arrival. There's no neighbor's window staring into yours. The home was built in 2007. It sits on a raised foundation with a tile roof and stucco construction. And it reads exactly like what it is, a custom country estate rather than a builder-grade subdivision house. If you're coming from the Bay Area, pay attention to that single-story detail. Square footage on a one level lives completely different than the same square footage stacked into 3 stories. No stairs, no wasted hallways climbing between floors, just space that flows. Let's step inside, because the entry tells you immediately that this house was designed around volume and light. You walk into a formal entry, and the ceilings open up into cathedral and open beam construction. Those exposed wood beams running across the great room are the kind of architectural detail that you simply do not get at this price point closer to the coast. In the Bay Area, $2 million buys you square footage. Out here, it buys you a square footage plus craftsmanship plus ceiling height plus land. That is the trade most people do not understand until they stand in a room like this. The great room itself is the heart of the floor plan. You have a wall of windows pulling in natural light and pasture views, a linear fireplace built into a clean modern surround and built-in entertainment wall, and rich wood cabinetry. This is the room built for the way people actually live now, open to the kitchen, easy to host in, and oriented toward the back of the property, so your eyes always being pulled outside toward the land. When I'm advising a buyer, this is exactly the kind of space I tell them to evaluate honestly. Ask yourself, does this room work for a Tuesday night with the family? And does it also work for the holidays when you have 20 people over? This one does both, and that flexibility is worth a lot. Now the kitchen, and this is where the home really earns its price. This is a true chef's kitchen. You have a massive center island with stone counters, a second run of counter space, custom cabinetry, and a warm cream finish with glass front uppers, and a custom wood range hood that anchors the whole room. The appliance package is built in throughout, a built-in refrigerator, built-in gas range, double ovens, dishwasher, microwave, and a tankless water heater feeding the home. Pendant lighting drops over the island. There is bar seating for the family to gather, and the whole kitchen opens directly to the living space, so whoever is cooking is never cut off from the party. I want to pause on the appliances for a second, because this is the kind of detail that separates a serious buyer from a casual one. Built-in and panel-ready appliances, a real range hood, a tankless system, these are not cheap to install, and they are expensive to replicate. When you're comparing this to a flip or a tract home at a similar price, this is where you see where the money went. A kitchen like this is the single most expensive room in any house to do correctly, and this one was done correctly the first time. Off the main living area, you have the home's private office, and for the relocation buyer, this room might be the most important one in the house. It has plantation shutters, custom built-in shelving and cabinetry, and big windows looking out over the property. If you are one of the many people who moved your work remote, and that is the reason you can even consider leaving the Bay Area, this is your command center. You're not working from a corner of the bedroom. You have a dedicated, quiet, professional space with a view of your own land. And that is a genuine quality of life upgrade you can feel every single day. This is where the single-story design really pays off. The primary bedroom is large, with room for a full sitting area, its own fireplace, and direct access to the views of the backyard. Waking up and looking out at open pasture and rolling hills instead of your neighbor's roofline is the kind of thing that is hard to put a number on, but it is exactly what people are moving for. The suite has that calm, retreat-like feeling, and because everything is on one level, it is the kind of primary suite that works for you now and continues to work for you in 20 years. The primary bathroom carries the same spa-like energy. You have a deep soaking tub set into a tiled surround, a separate glass walk-in shower, dual vanity space, and a framed mirror that gives it a finished custom feel. This is a bathroom you can actually decompress in at the end of the day. And throughout the secondary bathrooms in his home, you see the same level of care, real-time work, framed mirrors, stone counters, travertine in the showers. With 4 full bathrooms and 5 bedrooms, this is a home built for a real family or a family that hosts guests and often wants everyone to have their own space. The secondary bedroom gives you flexibility, and that is exactly what a 5-bedroom single-story floor plan should do. Bedrooms for the kids, a guest room for the parents who are going to come visit now that you have a space, a flex room that becomes a gym, or a second office. This is the part of the move-up story that gets people's emotions in the best way. They have spent years apologizing for not having room. Here, you can stop apologizing. Now let's go outside, because the backyard is where the property goes from a very nice house to a genuine lifestyle. You step onto a long covered patio with multiple ceiling fans set up for outdoor dining and lounging in the Placer County summer. And then the yard opens up. You have a built-in saltwater gunite swimming pool with a raised spa spilling into it. Saltwater and gunite matter here because that's the premium build. Easier on the skin and built to last, not a vinyl liner you're going to be replacing. The pool deck is generous. There is room for loungers, and the whole thing is positioned to look over the property rather than at a fence. And that view is the closer. Beyond the pool, you have flat, usable, fully fenced pasture running out towards panoramic views of the hills and mountains. And the listing even notes water and a year-round pond on the property. 5 acres, level, fenced with that kind of view is the definition of a property that lives big. There's also a stone fire pit with a curved seating wall set out on the grounds, which is exactly the kind of place you end up on a Friday night with a glass of wine and people you actually like. Here's what I want the relocation buyer to really hear about these 5 acres. This is functional land. It's level, it's fully fenced, and the views are pasture and hills. That means horse property potential. That means room for a shop or RV storage. It means your kids grow up with actual space to run. The home already has RV access and an EV charging setup and a 3-car garage, so the practical pieces are handled. The property runs on a private well with treatment equipment and a septic system, which is completely normal for an estate property out here. And it means no monthly water bill from the city for irrigating 5 acres. There's also a public irrigation district connection on site, which on acreage like this is a real asset for keeping the land green. So let's do the honest math, because this is the conversation I have with every Bay Area client. In San Jose, $2 million is realistically an older single-family home on a modest lot, or a nicer townhouse. You're buying location and you're buying access to jobs, and for a lot of people, for a long time, that trade made sense. But the world changed. If your work is remote or hybrid, you are no longer paying $2 million for a commute you do not have to make anymore. You are just paying $2 million for less. That same $2 million at 2990 Ironwood Lane buys you a custom, single-story, 5-bedroom estate, 4 full bathrooms, a chef's kitchen, a saltwater pool and spa, and 5 private, fenced view acres at the end of a quiet road in a strong Placer County school district. That is not a downgrade. That is a completely different definition of what a great life looks like. And the question I get most often from people in your exact position is, are we crazy for thinking about this? And my answer is always the same. No, you're not crazy. You just need to be clear-eyed about what you are getting and what you're giving up. So let me be clear-eyed for you. What you give up moving to Lincoln is proximity. You're farther from the airport, farther from the coast, farther from density and the energy of the bay, if that is something you love. Groceries and a Costco run take a little bit more planning out on Acreage. Well and septic mean you have your own systems instead of calling the city. None of that is a deal breaker, but you should know it going in. Because the people who regret the move are most always the ones who did not think honestly about the trade-offs before they signed. And what you gain is everything this property is showing you. Space, quiet, land you actually use, a single-story home with no stairs and shared walls. A backyard that functions like a private resort, top-rated schools in Western Placer, and a cost of living and a pace of life that, for a lot of families, turns out to be the thing they were actually chasing the whole time. The square footage was never really the point. The life was the point. If you want my honest take as someone who does this every week, a property like 2990 Ironwood Lane is exactly the kind of home that makes a Bay Area family fall in love with the Sacramento region. It's aspirational without being unattainable. It is move-in ready and represents the upper end of what is possible here. Even if the specific home is not for you, understanding why it is priced where it is teaches you how to read every other listing in this market. This home again is listed by Brian Zufelt with Realty One Group Complete. So if you'd like to walk this in person or from a virtual tour, I'd love to help you. And if you're seriously weighing a move to Placer County and you want someone in your corner who will tell you the truth about each neighborhood, each trade-off, and what your money really buys from Rockland to Roseville to Granite Bay to Lincoln, that's exactly what I do. Reach out to me. Jason Florio with Turn the Key Real Estate. My job isn't to make you feel better, but it is to make you better at this decision. If this kind of breakdown is useful to you, do me a favor, subscribe, because I tour properties like this and compare Sacramento living against the Bay Area every single week. Drop a comment and tell me what you would do with the 5 acres. And tell me what the other price points you want to see to get broken down next. I'll see you in the next one.